221 boy. 221 boy.
Give it a minute to load your guys, your info. Hey, Dirty. Everyone's reset, and you're only going to get 100 after 5 minutes. So all the totals are lowered, but it's fair. We're not going to do any changing of the settings here. Got my American Express business. Yeah, it's what I was wearing when we had lunch last time. It's cool here today. Hey, Jared. All right. I would start off with exclamation points just to see where you're at. Everybody will be at 0. I'm not going to add any manually to anybody. You'll earn it by chatting, and then after you chat for a minute, you'll have a couple hundred to start with. Probably be 0 right now. Oh, 100. There you go. You get 100 if you chat every 5 minutes. I took away a 0 on everything, so a gamble all, the most you're risking is 3,000. There you go.
Hi.
0 to 25, you will lose your bet. Slots is slots.
With one adult Tomsky in custody, starting to be 24.0.
I wouldn't even do it right now.
I'll have you en route, starting route 24.0.
Well, just once every 5 minutes, just pop in there. You'll get 100 points for that. Wait,
291 dispatch.
you gotta do slots. You gotta bet an amount.
Okay.
Can you show me out at 947?
Anyone's free to give away their points if they want to other people.
947 South Wheeling.
Unless I see that being abused.
282 to 290.
There you go. Slots 10. That's a safe bet. That's the lowest bet you can make.
You call myself, please.
Yeah, and you lost your 10. See. Everybody, Ivar says hi. You saying hi to everybody? Hi to everybody. There you go. There you go. Log in. We got here. What? We going? We leaving? At least get in here and establish some points. Like I said, if for some reason I'm ranked, it isn't going to matter how many points I got. I can't win it back. Well, I did turn on the cooldown warnings. That way when people try and do things and they don't figure out, it tells you how much cooldown is left on whatever command. Like do a gamble and then do it again right away. It'll tell you exactly how much time is left. Good. The more chat, the more engagement.
You can put me in B-boy.
19 B-boy.
The picture looks good. Until we start driving. Right.
And your stuff.
Go ahead.
Could you assign 269 to that of this pirate station?
Copy. I'll have you en route to the station for the fire. What's this fire?
I told you, Friday the 13th, reset. How come it's not telling me my points? Is it popping up there? It's not showing me anything. It's not showing my chat at all when I chat. It's on all messages too. Do this. None. Live. It's not working for me. It's not. My chat's not even going. No, well, there it is. It didn't go in. There it is. Fuck. It was still down there. It didn't send. Zero points. Okay. All right, that's working.
19 switch.
We switch to different name here.
I'll be out at Tire Man in Illinois, hopefully on a quicker trip.
Out of Tire, copy.
Switch account. Look at that. Jody and Dirty already over 1,000. Sons of bitches. Dirty's just slinging points at people. All right. I'm going to stop, grab a snack, maybe a tea. We got to drive to Green Springs. Got some computer work to do out there. I was hoping watching the watchers would be going. Let's see how close we are. 2 minutes before we leave. I want this playing before I leave. You're probably going to win, Dirty. Oh, he's coming in with all the names. Let's see where we're at right now. Woohoo, I got 20 now. Or no, inDOCtriNATION is 20. This name don't have shit yet. LVA, welcome. You should start with 0. You'll get 100 within 5 minutes to start with. You'll start at 0. Everybody's at 0 right now. Well, everybody started with 0 10 minutes ago. Jody and Dirty are already up over 1,000, but we've trimmed the numbers. There you go, 77 more seconds. I like that. That way people have understanding why it's not working. Fucking cool down. I've been streaming. That would be the second highest, and I've been streaming for. Oh, look at him. What you doing? You just want a good view? All right, stream's going. Tempted to just. You want to pet Ivar? Come here, Ivar. Come on, puppies. No? See, no. I'll wait till you're driving down the road and I'll distract you then. Because that's what I do. All right. At least you can gamble is 10. LVA. The least you can gamble is 10. There you go. Gamble the whole 100. I hope you don't get 0 to 25, but ooh, at 35. There you go. You doubled up. Here we go. Hey, Broccoli, welcome. It'll be about 5 minutes before you have your points. Before your points register, you'll have 100 in about 5 minutes to start with. All right. Let's do this. Stop it. Big babies. Get something going on here. All right. Big babies. It does look nice. It's starting to turn. A lot of the trees are starting to turn. Getting lots of leaves in the yard already. We live right next to an oak preserve, so we got hundreds year old. We got a couple 100-year-old oak in my backyard too. I am going to adjust the wording though to the heist. Cool down. Oh yeah.
It's on 291 dispatch.
Oh yeah. You really got to be careful about deer in this area. See them all the time. They don't get in the yard because they got 2 German shepherds that patrol, but
of all sorts of attacks and all sorts of problematic things happening today. I know that there's been sort of this sense of dread out there. I don't know if you've experienced it, but a lot of people are experiencing it, and I've heard other people in my life who are generally not even plugged into politics. They're like going, "Oh man,
2 more minutes.
Serious conflict here. This one's like a whole different category." And just, kind of hitting the panic button a little bit. So what's strange is that, they're trying to smear the right. They're trying to smear conservatives, and they're trying to smear Trump on this thing. It's like, wait a minute, what? What are you talking about? We're stoking fear? I don't think so. I think, in fact, that we're talking about what's reality, what's actually happening around here. And so to smear one side, in this case, the conservatives. So we'll look at what NBC said. Break that
nice
down.
roll.
But there's actual reality to this, okay? There was this debate about whether to call it a day
Hi, unindoctrinated.
or a day of action.
Welcome.
People are being very clever with language these days to try to use it to twist the meaning for their own purposes. But this is a report from Reuters. It says that former Hamas is calling for a day of jihad. And that's today, here, the 13th.
Nice
So
roll,
we'll talk
Jody.
about that. And it's not just the right that's making this up, okay? LAPD is stepping up security. Found an article on that one. So is New York City. They're telling us that there's no specific credible threats. That's good. I hope nothing happens. I don't want anything to happen, of course. But don't say that the right is manufacturing this stuff, all right? LAPD stepping up security. NYC stepping up security. Portland is taking this seriously. We're seeing very interesting activities all around the country. We're seeing, a lot of flag waving. Everybody's got their flags all over the place, flagging all over the place. Oh my gosh. All right. So they're getting concerned that something might pop off, that something might go a little bit awry.
Sky curtain.
We'll go through all that. Then we've got an update from the Middle East. Israel's ordering an evacuation. I think this one came over from Axios. And so they did a nice summary of kind of the current status right now, because there's a big request/demand to move a whole throng of people from the north to the south. And so we'll read what that sounds like, and then we'll check in with Congress and see what Congress has to say, because this guy is one representative who is saying, it's going to be very hard for us to actually move that amount of people or to really help. And so this guy's name, it doesn't matter, some Republican. So we'll listen to him and see what he has to say about it. But that will all be the update on what's happening here in the Middle East. Then we'll be spending a lot of time on that today, because that's really the only thing to talk about. There's very little updates in terms of the way of legal proceedings and stuff. I mean, it's all basically this and the Republicans being rudderless in the House of Representatives. But we'll also talk about this, that this was interesting. Now, I was clicking around on this, and I want to take you through the journey of my little click journey. But this is what our State Department had to say. And so they came out and they said, hey, guess what? Starting on October 13th, which is today, that we're going to secure charter flights to help U.S. citizens get out of here. And you're saying, that's great. So if you're departing Israel, and if you're unable to book commercial transit and seek a safe means of departing Israel, we're going to help charter some flights for you guys.
But we're going to let you finance it.
Which is good news, right? Because we always want to care for our citizens, right? No matter what you think about the conflict. It's like, hey, we've got to take care of our citizens. They're Americans, after all. And so we're asking ourselves, what is our government doing? Because our government is very accommodating for non-citizens. We covered stories here where they have a little
you have to sign a promissory note.
where immigrants from certain other parts of the world, like Venezuela and stuff. Like if it's too much of a trouble for them to walk all the way up through the southern border, and they already have somebody who's in the United States, they can just petition to get a flight, right? They just hop on a flight, just fly right in. Whoop, there you go. And the government facilitates the whole thing. And so we're thinking, that's interesting. We spend a lot of time and money and resources on flying in non-citizens and helping out non-citizens. So it should be pretty simple for us to have chartered flights for America. It should be like a no-brainer. I just pick them up, bring them home. But no, actually, they're going to charge you for that. All right, so we actually clicked through, and I got the form here. So we're going to go through the form together.
It's got to be unindoctrinated.
A U.S. citizen stuck in Israel.
Jody.
We'll click that one. Or if you want to play along at home, you can be stuck in Gaza. Or, we can check both of them. But here, the point is, what are you? Where are you stuck? Click the form. I don't see what I'm looking for, and so that could be a whole number of other things. But we'll go through it, and they want you to sign a promissory note. So they want you to sign a loan, basically, right? I'm going to pay back my flight out of a war zone. So let's go through it. And this guy, Yitz Friedman, is he saying, this is ridiculous. And the question is, why can't we fund this? Where's the money going? Could we maybe take some of that money back that we gave to Iran? Well, Blinken's going to talk about that. And then Rand Paul is saying, maybe we can just take some of that Taliban money. We can just take the Taliban money, since we're still giving them money. That's probably going to end up in this conflict zone and being used against Israel. It's just like, oh man, so much incompetence. It's incredible. Then we've got some reaction from Joe Biden. He's going to be having some virtual meetings, apparently, with the families. And I don't know what that means exactly. I haven't listened to this clip yet, so we'll go through that one. And then Biden tells a story about Dachau in Germany, which is kind of an interesting thing. And I have actually been to Dachau, and so I was going to share a little bit about that with you. So we'll talk about that. And then
Dachau, isn't that in Poland?
Final segment on this beautiful Friday, we're going to talk about Trump, because, man, he gave a speech, and he was pretty fired up in this speech. And he's talking about the relationship that he had during his time in office with Israel, and in particular, Bibi Netanyahu. And he came out and he said some certain words and some certain phrases, and he called Hezbollah. He said
not a service. I might as well park here.
Smart. Now you can be the judge, and you can interpret whatever that means, and you can say maybe he means like they're brilliant geniuses that he.
His name is Ivar.
As a terrorist organization.
Be right back.
Or it could be like he's thinking that they're tactical, all right, they're crafty, that they're sly.
No.
Right? Don't treat them like just dumb idiots, because maybe they took advantage of that conception, and that's why we're here. So he's making some points about this, and then of course a lot of people are taking words out of context, and everybody just says, I can't believe what you said. You hate this person or this race or this group or this religion or whatever, and it's just not up. So they went over, they talked to this guy in the Senate, he's senator or something, and he is saying that it's not very constructive behavior. But then we're going to divert to CNN, and they brought this guy on, and this guy was over on, he's on the ground there, Doctors Without Borders, I think is what he's from. And so he's on the ground there in Israel. He was talking about some of the intelligence, maybe failures, and it was an interesting clip, so we'll listen to that one. McCarthy is refusing to hit Trump. We don't know what that means, if he's still in the running to be the speaker again or not, but we'll go through that. And then Trump is reacting to his statement. Okay, so he said the thing, and then everybody kind of had a meltdown over it, and we're going to hear that. A lot of people, can you believe what Trump said? Two people on Fox in particular. What's his name? Brett Baer, and the other guy's name is something. So we'll go through all of them. I'm having a difficult time with names today. Come on, reset. All right, so we'll see if the names pop out there anytime soon. But it is a beautiful Friday, my friends, and I'm grateful that you're joining us. We are here early today. I do have an event that I'll be attending later this afternoon, and then I'm super busy. It shouldn't really impact what we do here too much, but I'm super busy. I've got Eric's house is tomorrow, and so let me just plug that right now. Eric's house tomorrow, we're going to be doing a 4-hour seminar workshop on the Eric's House YouTube channel. So go onto Eric's House, go to YouTube, type ericshouse.org into YouTube, find the YouTube channel, and we're going to be live streaming a hope and healing seminar, 4 hours of just hope and healing, and yours truly will be emceeing it. So we're going to be going through a bunch of stuff, and I don't even know what they have in store, but they always do an amazing job. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you want to support Eric's House, which is an organization that's dedicated to helping people who've lost a loved one due to suicide, overdose, or tragic death, then that would just be amazing, because there's a lot of good people who are doing good work over there, and they could use your support. So if you want to support them, you can check out watchersupport.com and go over there. And when you click there, you can see you can make a donation, and it's going to be, wow, we're doing great. We've got 25 supporters. Amazing. And so we're going to go through this today at the end of the show and say thank you to everybody for
whining at the door, wasn't he?
So thank you for everybody who's sending those in. Amazing work. And
no, you're not getting no tacos. Mini tacos, you might get a little bit.
Into it. Also, we have an amazing community. We do members only.
Got the mini tacos. You got a heist going? No.
So my goal is to post some.
Let me do a gamble before I take off.
Check that out. We also have
I
our
want to
new
do this
website,
while I'm driving.
and we have now got
Probably lose it
build
all.
in place for adding PDFs. They're not there yet, but they should be up hopefully tomorrow for yesterday's show. So check
Ow.
on the website.
Only 9 months old.
Should be
Hey,
posted
babies.
on the website like starting today or tomorrow. So coming in soon.
Yep,
And
I lost. I have 0 coins
that's
now.
what's happening all across the rest of
Nice.
our community. And so,
All right.
with all that being said, my friends, let's get right into it, because we've got some business here to attend to. Middle East chaos. That's what George Bush declares we are in store for. And who better than to get our Middle East advice about Middle East chaos than the man who is responsible for a lot of Middle East chaos himself, including what we just got out of Afghanistan and Iraq and all the things, WMDs and so on and so forth. And so we turn to the experts when we want to gauge what's going on over there. And certainly it will be chaotic. We've got a very, very complicated situation there. And the question is, what is going to be done? Now, a lot of people on the left are
Man, he looks old.
Right. They're saying that conservatives are stoking fear, which is curious, because
Oh, you don't need to give me no coins.
stoking fear when conservatives or other people concerned about the situation are responding to literal calls.
I'm gonna be driving anyway.
That came out from Hamas. So we'll read that story. It's not me making that up. That's Reuters. And we also know that the police are also concerned about this. This is why LAPD, New York City Police, and Portland are all taking
Got about an hour drive.
And then we'll have an update on an evacuation order coming from Israel in response and reaction from Congress. But first, here is George Bush, who is responsible for a lot of complexity in the Middle East. And of course, we were attacked on 9/11, and many people might have different opinions about how we responded to that, whether a long-term war in the Middle East was a good plan for this country, or maybe not, or maybe whether the Patriot Act was good or not, or whatever your interpretation of the event was. This guy was right at the center of it, and here is what he said about Israel.
It's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be, look,
that's for sure.
It's a democracy, and in a democracy, the people's voices matter, and there's going to be a weariness. You watch, the world's going to be, okay, let's negotiate.
Unless we get censored.
You know, Israel's got to negotiate. They're not going to negotiate. These people have played their cards. They want to kill as many Israelis as they can, and negotiating with killers is not an option for the elected government of Israel. And so we're just going to have to remain steadfast, but it's not going to take long. It's going on too long. Surely they're going to settle this to negotiations. Both sides are guilty. My view is one side is guilty, and it's not Israel.
Okay, so there's going to be chaos. I think he's absolutely right about that. We're already watching a lot of it happen right now. But what people are saying is that the right is milking this or exacerbating it or something. I don't know exactly what the basis is for that. Let's see if NBC can tell us. Conservatives
the reverse Brindle
fears of a Hamas attack in the United States, even though there's no credible.
Yeah, it's rare coloring. It's 1%.
Aren't they the same people who said that
for pugs anyway?
Therefore, on January 6th, and that's they were responsible for all of this, even though they knew that they had dozens of informants embedded with the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and many other groups. So the totally non-credible FBI says there's no credible threat. So here's what they say. They said the FBI said this week it had no information indicating a credible terrorist threat against the United States. But social media pundits have been raising the alarm. Conservative social media influencers have been filling platforms like X and Truth Social. And if we start getting into this territory where these are saying people need to be censored or that our opinions need to be limited because of disinformation
Hey,
and
Johnny.
speculation right on the blow gasket. So if they say it's not backed by any evidence that attacks on civilians would soon be happening in major U.S. cities, is the Republicans' fault? Is the conservatives' fault? The speculation with no evidence to support it, other than Hamas calling for it, the former leader of Hamas. Let's see if they get that. We have that article from their other news site called Reuters. It's come from former President Trump and his son, Trump Jr., and a host of right-wing commentators with big followings. So they're not talking about us here, who issued vague warnings about imminent invasions or attacks. Many of these posts tie in a hodgepodge of Republican Party talking points on subjects such as gun rights, immigration from Asia, crime and Iran policy. What kind of article is this? I don't have a post about world affairs, about talking points like gun rights. What a ridiculous article! This is like state media writing an article. The posts show how quickly the latest.
Is that how they do it in your state?
Between Israel and Hamas.
By the voting rolls?
Online
They do it just from the Secretary of State in Michigan. In Ohio, it's you don't have to vote to be on the jury duty. It
becomes much more transparent. But the left has a problem right now. If they don't know what to deal with this issue. Okay, they've got Rashida Tlaib with a Palestine flag and LGBTQ flag right next to each other, like outside of her office. It's like total cognitive dissonance about how the reality of the situation works. So they have, Harvard people, which really infests most of the government. They all went to Harvard. Like Blinken went to Harvard, Blinken, they're all Harvard, Oxford people. Well, Blinken, right, he's also Jewish. And so if the Harvard people are coming out, they're saying, support Palestine.
really?
And then Blinken's, his contingent, like, wait a minute, what?
That's weird. It must be by your state.
And I think
I was a fireman and a paramedic in Michigan and served.
I think largely what I've seen from them, right?
On a murder trial, actually.
Kind of, questioning American first principles vis-a-vis this entire conflict, which is really consistent with the rest of the things that we've been talking about, similarly with Ukraine and all the other things. Asking ourselves, what is America's interest in this conflict such that
This fucking truck's trying to keep me from getting
brings
around.
about an outcome that is satisfactory to the world and our allies and brings justice and all of those things. It's the same conversation. But on the left, right, it's very like do or die situation. Right? There's really no room for negotiation, which is why their side, I feel like at some point, is going to eat itself. Because all the L's, the G's, the T's, the B's, the Q's, the I's, the A's, the pluses, and the spirit people.
Well, that's when I was a back to bluer.
In this victim hierarchy type of thing. And
Back in the 90s.
Have a real conflict when you just identify people based on identity only and not deeper values. They start having conflicts with each other, like is evident right outside Rashida Tlaib's office. Very complicated. So they say Trump, from his account, raised the idea of a potential threat because our southern border is wide open. That's another bit of evidence for this. And the same people, he said, that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA. True. Through our totally open southern border.
Oh, okay.
Are they planning an attack within our country? Well, I don't know. But I follow some ex-GWAT people, the Global War on Terror people. So a lot of them are saying...
Well, I mean, it makes sense that you would be exempt.
This country. You may have seen these.
Who the fuck wants a cop on their fucking...
who are from foreign countries, buying up huge chunks of land,
jury.
Creating different types of what look like training camps and training bases and all sorts of stuff. Daily Wire had a post about an entire encampment in Texas that was being established for illegal immigrants coming across. Great, the list goes on. And they just don't know. So the post had 30,000 likes as of Wednesday. Probably a bunch of other terrorists on the social network. So post-presidency, Trump's office did not comment. U.S. reported last month that U.S. border agents have taken into custody a growing number of
co-pilots here
on FBI's terrorist watch list trying to
Ivar's back.
Border.
Back again.
NBC is telling you. We reported on terrorists coming across the southern border last month, but no evidence that those are Hamas fighters. The theory that this is going to be happening, that they're going to sneak across the southern border, has been happening for a long time. We just haven't seen anything about it. But some warnings this week, and Trump Jr. turned to gun rights, and his posts got 7.8 million views. So these are your censorship state media people who are very angry about all these people. Gunther Eagleman saying the sleeper cells of America will be sleeping much longer. Stay out of the cities. Reached by phone. Guntherman said, I stand by my warnings. All it takes is one bad person. So they're actually calling these people. Oh my gosh, that's our news. Zero Hedge is also posting about this. So this guy David Ingram just sits around, lurks on Twitter, and finds posts that he disagrees with. And says these people are hysterical, and then posts stories about it on NBC News and calls it an article. Pretty wild. That's what our journalists do. Now, for David and other people at NBC, let me point you to this Reuters article that tells you exactly what this guy said. Former Hamas chief calls for protests and neighbors to join the war against Israel. People are interpreting this word in a number of different ways. I've seen it being interpreted as action. I've seen it being interpreted as jihad. I've seen it interpreted as protest. And so you can make your judgment on it. But this is what the article says. Neighbors to join the war against Israel. They say this guy, former Hamas chief, which is the same organization responsible for what we saw, his name is Khalid Meshal. He called for protests across the Muslim world on Friday in support of the Palestinians and for people's neighboring countries to join the fight against Israel, saying we must head to the squares and streets of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday. He currently heads the Hamas diaspora, said in a recorded statement. Said he's based in Qatar, said the governments and people of Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt, they have a bigger duty to support the Palestinians. It says tribes of Jordan, sons of Jordan, brothers and sisters of Jordan. This is a moment of truth. The borders are closed to you. You all know your responsibility. This rallying cry came as Israel vowed to escalate its response to an attack by Hamas.
Who's this guy?
Offensive. 200 targets struck. Gaza says 950 people killed in Gaza. 5,000 injured there. As we know, on Saturday, terror raged across Israel, killing well over 1,000 people at this point. And so,
the dude was right on my ass.
That's what he's calling for, and the police are taking it seriously, right? This is not just right-wingers on talk shows.
Yeah, he's got cut in front of a fucking truck.
This is what the LAPD is doing. This came over from KTLA. Says that local police are stepping up security, and look what they say in their language. Right? How this one works?
Goofball.
They call it a day of jihad.
He was right up my ass.
So why is that? Why are the news stories changing the words?
Doesn't realize they got about 5 cameras going in here.
Protest.
Hit me, motherfucker.
This is not what KTLA says. They say Israel's war with Hamas has now entered its 7th day with casualties mounting on both sides. Law enforcement agencies in the Los Angeles area are among many stepping up security on Friday after a former leader of Hamas, Khalid Meshal, same guy, called supporters to flood the streets for a day of jihad. Right? They got that one in quotes. So why would Reuters be changing that to a day of protest? Are you curious? We've got some translation problems here. It's curious what's happening. The uprising, Meshal says, the uprising is a response to the Zionists and their criminal leaders and what they brought, and to the Americans who came to their aid. Oh,
so right there in the gray.
That part out too. Isn't that curious? Weird.
Oh.
The Americans who came to their aid.
You gonna fucking pass me on the fucking slow lane or right lane?
To the Americans.
People are being crazy.
Let's
just get on the.
Maybe they
get on the turnpike.
Language all that well.
If they want to go fast, they can go around.
So in his speech, Meshal called for the Ummah to engage in battle and for supporters to fight as jihad.
Chopper, welcome.
Responsibility. So maybe those conservative right-wingers were onto something here. John Paul, an LA resident.
Chopper was killing it too.
While there have been no specific credible threats in California, law enforcement agencies, including the Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, LA police departments, have issued statements confirming they're aware of the potential threat. They've got additional security at synagogues and at places of worship for the day of protests. Now, we don't have credible threats in the area right now, but that doesn't mean somebody isn't working by themselves. A rabbi said he didn't want to use his name. He says terrorists are not going to win. They say our schools are safe and so on. All right, so that's in LA. And they're not alone. New York City's doing the same thing. And these are not very right-wingy type places, are they? No, not at all. You see, New York City officials beef up the police presence on Friday's, Fox got it, the global day of jihad. They say despite no specific or credible threats. In Thursday's news, in a statement on Thursday, the New York City Police Department said there are no specific credible threats to New York City. We are aware of concerns
Yeah, they're backed up,
that
getting off.
postings circulated online have caused. We've increased our uniform deployments at large gatherings and cultural sites to ensure public safety out of an abundance of caution, they say. So you've seen a lot of the protests in various parts of the country. On Thursday evening, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, joined Mayor Adams and city leaders speaking about added precautions. Mayor Adams said, yes, there are no specific and credible threats, but he was aware of the protest planned for Friday. And listen, this is Hamas's global call of action. Isn't that weird? Action, protests,
Easy pass accepted.
Tomato. Still, a surge of uniformed New York City police officers will be spread throughout the city, including at places like houses of worship and in Jewish neighborhoods. Public schools not scheduled to be closed, nor will yeshivas and private schools. If you see something, say
I used to take that to sleep.
Remember that from the old 9/11 days. So that's fun. So that's what's in New York. Portland's doing the same thing, and I think I saw a share over.
Oh, Toradol. I'm sorry. I thought you said Trazodone.
Dallas.
Yeah, Toradol's good stuff.
Is doing the same.
I used to give myself a shot of it in my butt right before a PT test.
An announcement.
When I was a medic, I could.
But the same thing's happening in Portland, right? These are not, again, right-wing areas. So a former Hamas leader.
That's a good
jihad. They got it right. And Portland police say
super anti-steroidal, anti-inflammatory.
They recognize that he said to take to the streets in a global day. In a video statement that was obtained by Reuters.
Jerry lost 1,000.
They said we must head to the squares and the streets of the Arab and Islamic world. He called on his brothers and sisters in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt to take action and rally around the cause.
Yeah, Toradol's good stuff.
Jihad is defined as a struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam.
I could run forever after giving myself a pop of that in the butt.
In oneself against sin. So the rallying cry came as Israel vowed to increase their response, and as a fighter jet and others struck 200 targets in the city overnight.
Yeah.
Global Day of Jihad was trending on the X platform.
They give me a pill to take sometimes. It's called inDOCtriNATION. It's another. It's like Toradol.
Impact. Here's the story from Dallas. Shout out to Mosquito flagging it. Got
I would never recommend Motrin to anybody anymore, even though that was the wonder drug when I was in the Army.
Continue to follow the unimaginable violence.
Just too hard on your liver.
The Dallas Police Department continues to monitor for any potential threats against our city at this time. No credible threats. We want to reassure the public we're continuing to monitor and share intelligence around the clock. We're working around the clock with increased visibility at houses of worship, and we will always respond if there's a need for further police presence or a call for service.
Yeah, right.
Say something.
The city is this.
Together we keep our city
Los Angeles.
safe. So
Yeah, right.
Police are hitting the button around.
Uh-oh.
Making sure that there isn't any.
Y'all lost 4,000 each. Damn.
I mean, that's kind of what police and the government is there to do, is to make sure there isn't violence. And
What did you win?
the question, though,
I think
is
what it's
why
in
are they trying to smear public
parentheses, it means you lost it, right?
about something when you're not. Now, here's
I
an
don't know.
update. Israel, as we saw, right, the reason these things are a little concerning is because there's a very rapid escalation happening right now. We just saw this one drop. Israel tells the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. Kind of a quick turnaround time, right? Something's happening, so within 24 hours. All right, what's up? So the Israeli Ministry of Defense and the IDF notified the UN just before midnight local time that Palestinians living north of the Wadi Gaza should evacuate to the southern part of the Gaza Strip in the next 24 hours. If you look at a map, it is a big strip which is being moved in. This is according to a UN spokesperson called Stephanie Dujarric.
Oh, okay.
And another source with direct knowledge. Now, they
Ever
thought
since he
there
approves.
were more than 1 million Palestinians living in that area. The message could be a signal that the Israeli military is preparing for an imminent ground operation. So they told Axios that the reason for the notification was in order for civilians to not be hurt, right? To get out of there. They said, we call on all civilians in Gaza City to move south. The Israeli defense minister said. That was done on Friday, along with the U.S. Secretary of Defense, double face mask and face shielding, brave soldier protecting America, Lloyd Austin. They said, we don't want to harm them. Whoever wants to
Yeah, he
save his
does.
life should go south. Camouflaging itself inside the civilian.
I'll have to practice my ventriloquism. Start talking.
Death tolls now, according to Axios, 1,500 Palestinians, 1,200 Israelis have been killed, thousands have been injured, hundreds of others been displaced since the fighting began.
I can't remember. What was that dog's name? Mac or something like that?
They should move south, urging the residents to distance themselves from Hamas. And the UN is responding to this, okay? So the UN, they told Axios, so Israel made the order. They say today, the UN's really not happy about it. They said today, just before midnight time, team leaders of the UN office on the coordination of humanitarian affairs and the Department of Safety and Security in Gaza, we were informed by their liaison officers that the Israeli military
Triple trailer.
that the entire population should relocate in the next 24 hours. So the
UPS does it all the time.
They say this amounts to approximately 1.1 million people.
Frank,
Same
that's it.
order
Frank the
applies to
Bug.
all
That's
the
right.
UN staff and those sheltered in UN facilities, including schools, health centers, and clinics. So the UN, she stated in a statement, considers it impossible for such a movement to take place without devastating humanitarian consequences.
Oh, thanks, Chopper.
And they
Appreciate
say
it.
back to Israel, the United Nations strongly appeals for any such order
Biggie. Still there.
to be rescinded, avoiding what could transform what is already a tragedy into a calamitous situation. Right? So that's the UN pushing that back. So state of play, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke twice Thursday night with the Israeli ambassador. Said he wants to get clarification at the highest political level about Israel's request to evacuate the population from the northern Gaza Strip. He, in a statement, Erdogan, he said, so Erdogan from Israel, this guy, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke twice with Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdogan. So Erdogan is from Israel. He says, the UN's response to Israel's early warning to the residents of Gaza is shameful. He said, we warned them to get out, and now you're calling for us to undo that? He said, for many years, the UN has turned a blind eye to the arming of Hamas and its use of the civilian population and civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip as a hiding place for murder and weapons, said the Israeli ambassador. Now, instead of standing by Israel, whose citizens were slaughtered by Hamas terrorists and who tries to minimize harm to those not involved, the UN now preaches to Israel. It is better for the UN to focus now on returning the hostages, condemning Hamas, and supporting Israel's right to defend itself. So,
4 more seconds, Chopper.
and
It tells you how long is the cooldown is now.
is going to Gaza. So let's see. That is still the top story, so no updates on that one. But let's carry on because we've got some reaction from this guy. He is a Republican in Congress, and here is what he says. You know, this is a difficult situation, and it might not be possible to actually help.
You can do it
Let me
now
ask
then.
you about
You gotta redo it.
Palestinian civilians living in Gaza. The United States has talked about the goal of helping to secure the safe passage of those currently in Gaza. But how realistic is that, Congressman, given the violence that's unfolding? And how do you make sure you get the civilians out without helping Hamas?
it's very difficult. But I think it's important to note that the Palestinians and Hamas are two different things. The Palestinian people, by and large, do not support Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization who oppress the Palestinians, and they were the roadblock to peace in the Middle East, with Israel. So as long as you have Hamas there, the Palestinian people will not be free from this oppression. But to your point, how do you vet Palestinians out of Gaza at this dangerous point in time? I don't know how you go on the ground to even evacuate, much less vet them to get outside of Gaza. And it's a humanitarian crisis of extreme proportions. It's very, very sad to see what happened in Israel, but I think what you're going to see in Gaza as well.
Yeah, we don't really have much help when it comes to vetting people at the borders. We don't really know how to do that. So he's right. It's a little frustrating, a little confused. Kind of like asking a kid like a really complicated problem, like a calculus problem, like to an 8th grader. Hey, little Johnny, how do you solve the limits of this function? You're like, well, it's a little complicated. So asking an American congressperson about borders is like, whoa, I'm just a congressman, okay? I can't answer those questions. So he, doesn't have much thought on that. But the point remains, 1.1 million people, and there's a very considerable contingent of people in that group who are questionable, right, for transfer to Israel or to another location. And so it's a precarious position. The question is, what's going to happen with it? George Bush, one of the people in charge during the prior epoch of Middle East chaos, says it's going to be chaos, and I don't doubt it for a minute. They're going to continue, I think, to create a wedge amongst the right to try to separate the right. I don't know that there's much there to do that, but their side is in total disarray. Rashida Tlaib can't keep her flag straight. And so we'll continue to cover as this goes on, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video as we carry on. All right, now that we know what the baseline is, what's happening with our citizens there? The United States government is now demanding that the evacuees from Israel and the Gaza Strip pay for their flights out of there because the U.S. government is basically bankrupt. They don't have the funds or something. Now, my question is, why don't these people just request a flight to the southern border and they can just walk across? And we know our government is paying for a lot of that, so we'll talk about it. But the good news, theoretically, for the citizens stranded there in Israel, is that the State Department is now jumping onto this. And in fact, they posted a post on the X, and we're going to walk through it because I clicked through this. I thought, let's role play for a minute and just pretend that we're stuck there. What happens if I follow the State Department's instructions? What do I have to do? Turns out they want you to fill out a promissory note, like a loan agreement, so that you can pay for your flight. All right, so we're going to jump in. This is what the State Department posted. And let's just say that we have been caught up in this attack and disaster, and we're watching from Israel, and we say, man, we're U.S. citizens. No commercial flights were stranded. What is my government doing since I'm a U.S. citizen? Oh, good news.
Broccoli's killing it.
Starting on October 13th, we will secure
Oklahoma
charter flights, since many of the commercial flights, not all of them, are canceled.
I think you got to be in for about 5 minutes before you can start to gamble. That's when it issues you your 100.
Commercial transit and seek a safe means of departing Israel. And you say, wow, that's really nice. Well, our government's doing something useful. We know they
Broccoli's killing it,
watch
man.
different emergencies, like what happened in East Palestine with the trail derailment.
Start dueling with broccoli. Start taking some of that.
Fire when it happens in Maui. But maybe, since if this is a foreign country, we've got a lot of foreign affairs apparatus, equipment. Well, can we get them out of there? Great news. State Department says we can. So you're on X. You're like, great. What do I do? Okay, let's click this link. Okay, I need to follow this. All right, where can I go? They send you over to the State Department website. They say, hey, guess what? U.S. government to assist U.S. citizens departing Israel. I say, yes, I know. I saw the X tweet about it. Okay, where do I click to get help?
You got something to work with now, Oklahoma.
The State Department has no higher priority in the safety and the security of U.S. citizens overseas. Starting on October 13th, we will arrange charter
Hilton,
flights
welcome.
to assist citizens and
Why aren't
their
you,
immediate family members who are unable to book
Why aren't
a
you,
flight. From
on?
these locations, then individuals will be able to make
fix
their
this.
own onward
See if
travel
we can do a long
arrangements to
drive
the
here.
destination of their choice. These initial transportation options will be augmented in the coming
There you
days,
go.
and senior State Department officials are actively working with airline carriers and international partners on how best to provide additional options
William,
to those seeking to depart.
welcome.
U.S. citizens in need of assistance should complete our crisis intake form on travel.state.gov. Now, when I was here this morning and I was prepping for the show, they did not have a link here. Okay, so they came back
Joe,
and
welcome.
added a link to this. Okay, there wasn't even a link. They just said that you needed to go to travel.state.gov and click.
I'm thinking if the scanner's working tonight, I'm gonna go out on the road a little bit.
They fixed it this morning. It wasn't there. All right, so good on them for fixing it. But before this morning, before about an hour ago, this whole thing was just a blank text box, but there was nowhere to go. They said we will continue to monitor the situation and closely evaluate the demand for U.S. citizens in departing Israel.
Have any of you guys tried to do that joint stream thing?
Travel options to facilitate the
Where you're streaming with somebody?
thousands of citizens per week. There's thousands of American citizens there. The overall security situation, availability, and the reliability of commercial transportation will influence the duration of this departure.
So I'm thinking about
Okay, great.
doing my drive around
You know, I can get some help. Now, as I mentioned this morning,
with Doc Nation, and then having inDOCtriNATION be on the side.
Great that there's help, but there's nowhere to click. So what I did.
That way I could take one of the phones out of the car, leave one in. I don't know.
And this is what you saw, right?
Play with it a little bit.
Israel's under attack. And as you navigate through this, that's where I get some help. But then you would have had to have gone here, and this is the crisis intake form. Right? So now they've linked this crisis intake form back on the main post, which is going to save everybody some searching for it. A lot of people can find it first. So now you go over and you fill out the crisis intake form, which is what we're going to do now together. So again, we're stuck in the Middle East, we're stuck in Israel, and they're really going to be helping either side. The U.S. State Department doesn't care. They say, all right, okay, this is a form for U.S. citizens and eligible family members. Don't submit more than one form per person. Here's what the situation is. Please select the event for which you are contacting the State Department. I'm in Israel, and I'm a U.S. citizen. I just got attacked. I'd like to get out of here. So we click Israel, October 2023. The only other option is Gaza. You're a Gaza citizen, and if I don't see what I'm looking for, that might be from the Hamas terrorists. Like, well, I want to come across in America, and I come across the southern border. If I don't see what I'm looking for, maybe that's them. But yeah, look, we'll be Israelis. We'll be a U.S. citizen.
Welcome, Leonela.
So see the
looking at your channel now.
Here's what you can do. Use this for other things. Okay, if you're seeking
15,000 subscribers. That's nice.
Yeah. Okay, Israel. Next. Who is requesting this service? Okay, I'm requesting it for myself. What is the citizenship status of the person in need? Okay, I'm a U.S. citizen. Perfect. All right, we're getting somewhere now. Now we're getting somewhere. We're about to get out of the war zone. All right, requested service. How can our government help us in this war zone? First option, I plan to stay in the country and I want to continue receiving updates from the embassy. No. You want to get out of the country. And you just said you could help us book a flight. So I want that option. That's not that one. Option 2, I plan to leave the country on my own. No, I can't. I'm on your website because I need help. I plan to leave the country and may need assistance to leave. That sounds good, like an option number 3. Or number 4, I'm confirming that I've left the country on my own. So we're going to go with option number 3. I may need assistance. No, I do need assistance.
Nice roll.
I need a flight, man. So additional assistance. Perfect. Okay, how can our U.S. government help us? Additional assistance. I may need a loan from the U.S. government to buy a commercial ticket. Huh? A loan? No, man, I need a flight. And there are no commercial tickets. Okay, so that's like a bad option. Maybe we'll take that option. Here's another one. I need help with the U.S. passport. That's not whatever. I need help with the visa for my accompanying child or spouse or minor. What? No, man. I need a plane ticket. I don't need a loan for a plane ticket, but I need a plane ticket. So let me just click this one. Let me see if they can help. No, I'm not a robot. I'm stranded in the course. So please help. Okay, next button. Okay, this is where we go. Israel, to access information about this, fill out your first name, gender, male, female, or unspecified, date of birth, place of birth, proof of citizenship, how do you have to prove it, passport, birth certificate, current location, Israel, of course we know that, where's your address, what's your contact information?
Oh, did we all die?
Emergency contact, add your family members.
Just lost all my chips again.
No, we're obviously not going to play further than this, but this is what you fill out. Now, apparently, when you play into that further, right, when you go through that,
half of y'all lost.
I actually tested this just because I was curious. I was like, I wonder if they'll pay if you're from Gaza, okay? Because I wonder if they give you different options if you're from Gaza. And that is not the case, okay? It's the same form either way. And I'm trying to go back to it. So here is what it looks like when you go through from the Gaza perspective. Because it would be interesting, like if you had to get a loan if you're coming from Israel, but they'll fly out of there first class from Gaza, right, or something. And that's not what happens. So if you click Gaza, as we just did, I'm requesting this for myself, U.S. citizen, same options. I may need assistance to leave, and I may need a loan from the government to buy a commercial plane ticket. And this is a war zone. Like, this is what our government is supposed to do, right? If you think the government is legitimate anyway, it's to help its citizens when there's absolutely no way for the citizens to help themselves. Like, it's a social safety net in some ways. So that's what they've got. Now you got to pay for your own butt to get out of there. And if you continue on in the form, apparently this is what gets Friedman, who is on the X. He says he works over at the American Accountability Foundation. He says, here's what the Biden administration is making Americans sign if they want to be evacuated. They must promise to pay the State Department for the privilege of being rescued by their own government from a war zone after every American airline canceled flights, and they're going to be charged interest if they don't pay on time. Oh, man, that's pretty rude. They're our own citizens. Meanwhile, illegal immigrants get free trips to the United States and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, hotel rooms and stuff. Look them up at New York City hotels. So, now that is the actual update for BITS. Now I actually pulled up the form as well. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Here it is. So this is the evacuee manifest and the promissory note, right? Coming from the United States Department of State. They say, okay, here, last name Govea, Rob, here, I got it, stranded here. Current lodging, where you may be contacted.
Hey, thanks for popping in. I appreciate it.
Medical condition, all your information, any accompanying children.
Just wanted to get on just so we could get people rolling with this.
Mama Govea. Last name for everybody, no kids. All right. Promissory note.
Much love, brother. I might be on later doing some watching.
Oh,
I need this final push over 500.
Including third-party contractors. It's a promissory note and a repayment agreement. I clearly understand that I'm accepting evacuation of my own free will and at my own risk to a location chosen by the government. Mode of transportation will be charter or military transport. I understand that the evacuation flight may not comply with normal safety provisions, standard waiver stuff. But look at this.
Another minute 20 there, homie.
Our government is, we get taxed everywhere. Everywhere you look, they just tax you everything, right? Sales tax, property tax. You go stay at a hotel tax. You fly in an airplane, airline tax, taxes tax. Then they tax your income. Then they tax you on your state level. Now all over the place. For what? Nothing. Then you get stranded because our own government is funding, multiple sides of conflicts all around the globe. And they say, here, U.S. citizens, if you need help getting out of this war zone, I promise to repay the U.S. government in U.S. dollars within 30 days of being billed. And if not repaid within 60 days, there's going to be an interest rate, buddy, for all applicable expenses for our evacuation. This evacuation loan is in addition to any other U.S. government loans received for other purposes, and I will keep the Department of State's accounts receivable branch informed of my addresses until I repay my loan in full. If I'm unable to repay my loan, the Department of State may forward me on an installment agreement, so they'll let you get back on a payment plan. I understand that I will be billed
the big boat.
the cost of our transportation no greater than the amount of a full fare economy flight. Okay, so I want to
Cheater.
Like, what do you pay for, like a C whatever?
No, I'm going to Green Springs. I'm only like 15 minutes away now.
Flight, but if it's like an economy, fee or a comparable alternate transportation, so they're going to be sticking people for like $500 for like a plane ticket. That's what our government does, right? In addition to you paying in tax,
$40 an hour to stand on the road and wave cars.
My obligation to repay my loan will not be considered paid in full until it's cleared through the Treasury, and until I have paid my loan in full.
Now we just opened up another wing of the detox center here. I got to go back behind and fix everything that they fucked up all week.
If my loan is in default, I and all listed U.S. citizen family members will not be eligible for passports, for limited validity passports. My loan is going to be subject to interest and penalties. So if you just get evacuated from a war zone and your life's in disarray for a little while, late fees, buddy, interest payments. I will be liable for also collection costs as well.
Yeah, the new wing is going to be just the females now. We're having too many issues with, what males and females do when they get together. Oh, yeah? What kind of drugs? Are things getting messy over there? Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I understand a lot of this is way for you're being sued if you're evacuating them and all that stuff. But wow, so they're going to stick you over $500 in the middle of a war zone.
I already ate tacos.
Thanks for paying taxes your whole life. What do we pay taxes for? You don't know what they pay for, other than military equipment for the Taliban. If the U.S. government can't even evacuate us, so that's what's happening. That's our government. And the question is, where is all this money going? A lot of criticism for the State Department from Anthony Blinken and the Biden administration about why Iran is sitting on $6 billion of cash liquidity that apparently was released by the U.S. government. Here's what Blinken says.
Now, when it comes to $6 billion, it's important to be very clear because unfortunately, some people are either misinformed or they're misinformed. The money in question, Iranian money, not American taxpayer dollars.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's money that was allowed to accrue in a bank account from the sale of Iranian oil. What we did is we moved the money from one account in South Korea to another account in Qatar where the money could actually be used, but under the supervision of our Treasury Department, only for humanitarian purposes, and not a dollar of that money has been spent to date. And we retain the right to freeze that account.
I'm sure that they do, and I'm sure that they will. Interesting questions there. Now, Rand Paul says that there's a lot of money that has not been frozen. In fact, it's still going over to the Taliban, still paying for it, because for some stupid reason, our government thinks that it's useful to pay our enemies. And Rand Paul's going to explain this here as soon as this video stops its circle of death and loads for us, because it realizes we're in the middle of a live stream. Let's see if it opens again. All right, doesn't open again. I have an alternative solution. And we'll look for it right now. Sometimes they actually load. It just takes a minute. Yeah, let's see if we can pull it up this way. Oh, there it is.
Now we're in this situation that is
Here's Rand Paul.
now we're in this situation that Israel needs emergency aid. How will you deal with that? What is your recommendation?
The same way I always have is
Snort,
that I'm
snort,
all
snort.
for the aid. In fact, we had this debate about a year ago with Democrats. They wanted $1 billion more for Iron Dome, and I said, sure, I'm with that. Let's take it from a fund that we're funding the Taliban with. There's still a couple $1 billion out there that we are the Afghan reconstruction fund that's going to the Taliban, to people who are not our friends, who are our enemies
Well,
in
I don't
Afghanistan.
understand that. Why are we funding the Taliban?
They think that somehow when you give money to your enemies, it makes them less of an adversary. We still give money to the Palestinian Authority. We give money to the PLO. So what I would say is, sure, let's fund whatever Israel needs now, but let's take it from funds that we're sending to countries that don't like us, that burn our flag, that chant into America. Why are we giving money to people who hate us? So let's give it to our friends if need be, but let's make sure we take it from somewhere else in the budget. And that may or may not make me very popular, but I insist on this all of the time. And if you don't do it, that's why you wind up with a $33 trillion debt.
Well, I mean, has the administration commented on the fact that we've been giving money to the Palestinian Authority?
I have these battles all the time. I've battled the head of Senate Foreign Relations over this many times on the floor, over whether we should still be giving money to the Taliban, whether we should be giving money to the Palestinians. So years ago, I introduced the first bill that would have gotten rid of these water payments, where people who were blowing themselves up and blowing up Israeli civilians were getting payments, but it was coming out of a fund that the U.S. government was funding this fund. So I was the first one to introduce that, and they got rid of some of the payments, but some of those payments are still going to the Palestinians, and I'm for eliminating all of that foreign aid to the Palestinian Authority.
Senator, we want to know.
All right, so that's Rand Paul, and I don't doubt that for a minute. And we've gone through a lot of the different spending bills and all of the different,
Damn, I'm indoctrinated.
the different things that have come up when the spending happens, and they just throw money, millions of dollars and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions just around like it ain't nothing, man, like it's tit money. And this is Biden now explaining what his government is going to be doing here as a result of all of this, including having virtual meetings with family members who are suffering.
Why do you feel so strongly about speaking to these families personally on Zoom?
Because I think you have to know that the President of the United States of America cares deeply about what's happening. Deeply. We have to communicate to the world this is critical. This is not even human behavior. It's pure barbarism. And we're going to do everything in our power to get them home if we can find them.
All right, yeah, so if we can find them, we're going to get them home. It's like, man, I don't know what he's saying. He's just a mess. So he's going to have some Zoom meetings with some people. That's cool. Now, he also said this the other day, and I thought this was an interesting thing because I have actually been to Dachau. I went here when I was in college, and I actually got to see this location in Germany. And this is what Biden said.
We mourn the act so many leaders have across the country showing us what thousands of years of Jewish history show us. The enduring strength, I mean this sincerely, the enduring strength and spirit of the Jewish community. If you use a point of personal privilege, you should say in the Senate. That's why I took my kids, everyone when they turned 14 years old, one at a time, put them on a plane and took them to Dachau. I wanted them to see.
One at a time?
But you could not know.
Could not know.
You could not fail to understand.
All right, so interesting. He's an interesting guy. Anyways, so I did actually have the opportunity to go to Dachau. I was traveling with my mother in Europe, and we were there for a Paris air show. And we traveled around a bit. I went to Munich, and then we went to Dachau, and I was able to go travel around and experience what the scene looked like. And it was a very moving, very powerful experience. And the entire trip was an interesting thing. And what happened when we were in Germany, we actually met this couple. I actually met this mother who
feels bad, man.
With my mom, she had two younger kids, much younger than me at the time. And she was this German woman with two German kids, and she wanted her kids to hang out with this American mother and son. And so we ended up traveling around with them a bunch. They took us to different restaurants. It was a really fun experience. But when we told them that we were going to Dachau, she was so upset. She was so depressed. They were so ashamed of that part of their history, and it's just a powerful thing. And so, this is something that I think is a powerful conflict, right? This is something that we've been dealing with.
Actually, that is a command, but it's turned off.
Modernity. It's been going on for a long time, and I don't know that Biden's trips to Dachau did anything. I mean, his kids were kind of a mess, Hunter and Ashley and so on. But it is a powerful thing, and I do think it's pretty shameful when our own government can't even take care of our own citizens. When Joe Biden will stand there and talk about how incredible this is, and then we still have the State Department like, sign your promissory note here. They all talk. But our government is mostly incompetent. Department, thank you for liking this video wherever you're watching it. Thank you for sharing.
Exclamation point accept. The challenge has already been sent to you.
Now, we've got one segment as well here. And this one involves Donald Trump himself. Responds to some comments he made about Israel. A lot of people on the right criticizing him on this one.
She sent you a dual challenge. Maybe expired by now. Just do exclamation point accept.
Language for Trump to use when he calls groups like Hezbollah, quote, smart. Now, you can be the judge about whether that quote is being taken out of context. I certainly think you'll see that it is. But Trump said it, and he's being careful about his language.
It's already timed out or not.
To deal with Israel, he was responsible for a lot of positive updates in Israel by many people's interpretations.
Maybe too late.
Here's what he's saying. You can be the judge of what he means by this as we listen.
Followed the whole thing. About 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially.
Happy Friday the 13th, y'all.
And when they have.
That's why I want to do some cop watching tonight. I think it may pop off a little bit. What's the moon phase?
Because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. But they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that. Very disappointed, but we did the job ourselves, and it was absolutely
there you go.
Magnificent.
Now say, Jody, say exclamation point accept.
Bibi tried to take credit for it. That didn't make me feel too good, but that's all right. So they got to strengthen themselves up.
All right, so Trump said Hezbollah is smart. Okay, that's the headline.
There you go.
Smart, man. What they're doing is incredible. What a bunch of geniuses. Or no.
Damn, Jared's up to 26K.
He said literally that they're vicious and they're smart. Right? And smart, the way I interpret that, it means tactical. It means actually intelligent. Like it is a mistake to underestimate your opponent or your enemy, right? Never underestimate the power of your opponent. Didn't Bruce Lee say that or something? It is very important that you don't do that. And that's what he's saying, right? They're cunning.
No, I don't.
So don't underestimate them.
What?
They are smart.
You quiet about it.
Apparently, they got the jump on a bunch of very intelligent intelligence officials who didn't even know this was happening. So that was his statement. Now, a lot of people flip out.
Clean my ear.
In fact, on Fox
I did
News,
take a shower.
They are trying to hammer it.
I did. I took a shower.
This is what this one guy asked Senator John Thune about over on.
Yeah, we're almost there.
That's
3 minutes.
That's a former president
3
of the United
minutes.
States is saying these things about Hezbollah, repeating the name Barack Hussein Obama
Tomorrow's the eclipse.
constantly at a West Palm Beach speech. Is that constructive behavior, criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu in this environment? At
We'll get
this,
some good moon. If it's clear enough here, I'm going to try and get some good moon shots.
The wording that you want to hear out of your likely Republican nominee for president of the United States.
All I'm simply saying, Neil.
2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes.
I think he's making statements he wants to make.
I think.
And yes, I mean, I don't view Hezbollah or Hamas to be smart. I view them to be evil.
It was working last night. I didn't change anything with the duel.
I would characterize it. It's he has under our Constitution the liberty to say what he wants to say, and he can be judged for it. And I think that's what the American people are going to have to do. They're going to have an opportunity to do that in a presidential election that's coming up ahead of us. But I think how you characterize things in an environment like this, sort of a high-threat environment, if you look at the dangers that we face around the world, is important. And I hope people, as they look at these,
nice roll, Chopper,
will make decisions and conclusions based upon who they think is best able to manage not only the United States of America and our domestic challenges, but the global stage where the rest of the world looks to the U.S. for leadership.
Senator John.
Okay, so you can be evil and you can be smart right at the same time. I mean, I don't know what other language you
still dueling you. I haven't seen a result yet.
Devious. Anyways, all right. So Trump's getting hit over that. Now you can see that Fox News host was very unhappy about it. Now the question that Trump brought up was about intelligence failures. And so we'll listen to some of those from this guy. He's with Doctors Without Borders, and he's been there. He says that he's got some good insight on what happened as this all unfolded. Then we'll get to Kevin McCarthy, who also, they try to bait him into saying something bad about Trump, but he doesn't take it. This is the conversation about the intelligence that may have been missed.
Israeli intelligence started picking up on, small signs that each of them alone doesn't really show anything. But when you put all of them together, you start getting this very worrying picture of Hamas maybe thinking of doing something. And because of all of those signs, a series of high-level consultations took place. Some of it on Friday night, several hours, 4 or 5 hours before the...
should have just taken 2 minutes. I didn't see any results.
The IDF Chief of Staff, General Halevi, was on the consultation.
I don't think you have to put at with the name either, though.
The Southern Command, the head of the Shin Bet Security Agency, so all the top security officials in the country were on those conference calls. And the dilemma was whether this is a real preparation for an attack or an exercise. And there were several proposals to put the border, all the IDF forces on the border, on high level.
Draw. Yeah, I don't think you want to put the at on there. I don't think it accepted. Just space in the name, in the whole name. You want to see mamas? You want to see mamas? Oh, yeah, he's talking to you. What? Oh, what? You sound like a baby. You sound like a baby. Yes, you do. You sound like a little baby. You don't sound like no tough guy. You don't sound like a tough guy. I'm driving. Here we go. Oh, baby boy. Yeah. You ready to go? Yeah, he's probably got to pee. You ready? Yeah, don't pee in my car, okay? Oh, he's a dick with the big dogs. He's a fighter. He's feisty as hell. You ready to go? You ready to go? Let's gamble one more time. I gotta gamble and then we'll go, okay? I know. It's an addiction. We're in the right place for that. Ooh, I rolled a 99. Good call. All right, y'all. I'm going to kill for now. If I do another stream, it's going to be on the other name, going home or heading home, because I want to save some streams for tonight for possibly doing some cop watching. If I don't, I'll do it from the desktop at home. Peace, everybody. Love you. Thank you for joining in the fun. We'll keep it up. Have a great night or day. Have a great day.